Hi guys, this is going to be a preview for a brand new game from Untitled Games. It's called Shadow Tactics. Now many of you may know the game already from the video game series, which is a great game as well, but this is going to be the implementation of the video game to the board game. So we bring Untitled Games, actually, not me, they bring the video sensation from the video game, Shadow Tactics, on our table. So this is a brand new game which packs a lot of stuff, a lot of value for what it offers back. In my opinion, it offers a lot of things to consider. It has action movement programming, hidden movement, very careful outthinking your opponent. One player takes the role of the Daimyo, trying to guard the place. The players of the opposite side are the ninjas, the shinobis, trying to honor the shogunate. It's very carefully designed, seems to have a lot of options. I'm giving out my opinion already, but don't take my word for it. Come with me and I'll show you how it plays. When we finish, I'll tell you my opinion about the game and what I think from my first sessions and my first impressions. Welcome to Japan in the era of Tokugawa shogunate. The shogun has brought harmony by unifying all the lands of Japan. However, there are very devious plans in act that are trying to unleash powerful and evil things on the land by various warlords, threatening to disrupt the peace that shogunate has already achieved for this land. You, my friend, and your companions have been chosen by the shogun himself to execute a series of very specific tactical missions in order to save the shogunate and all of the fate of Japan. This journey, though, is not without dangers. However, you are very well prepared and equipped for the tasks ahead. And most importantly, you can count on your fellows to support you whenever needed. In Shadow Tactics, you and your friends will be playing as the loyal shinobis of the shogun, trying to put an end to the evil schemes of Lord Yabu and the other conspiring daimyos. One of the players will always take the role of the daimyo himself, who controls the guards and the enemies of the shogun, and the rest of the players will assume the roles of shinobis. Shadow Tactics, the board game, consists of 2 campaigns, each featuring 5 unique missions, and not only the map and the objective of each mission is different, but every time the difficulty changes as you progress from one mission to the other. So let's familiarize ourselves with the game components. What you have in front of you is a programming mat consisted of bamboo, and it's very well placed so you can program your cards and the movements of the shinobi as well as their actions. The game comes with 12 board tiles, which are of different sizes and shapes, and they are all put together to consist of the mission's map each time. As you can see, the art is fantastic. It's like a bird's eye view on top, but what I'm hearing is that they're going to modify slightly the art so that everything stands out even more nicely to the eye. These are the faithful shinobis, the ninjas, that players assume the roles of. There are 5. You have Hayato, Yuki, Mugen, Aiko and Takuma. These are standees because this is a prototype, as you can already guess, but all this will be replaced by fantastic miniatures when the campaign is funded. These are the 36 guard standees. You have various types. From left to right you have the spearmen, the officers, the samurai and the daimyo himself. We'll get back to more details about all these minis and all these standees. Rest assured that all these standees will be replaced by minis when the campaign is finished. The first visual concepts of the miniatures are fantastic already, but what it's good to note already is that these miniatures, they're not just miniatures, they have also some functional part on the way they look. If you take a closer look on their base, there is an arc. This arc indicates the direction their eye view, their sight is towards, meaning that they have their looks on this side following the arc at the base. Another important element of the game is the time track. You have 1 dial, which is used to track how much time the ninjas have remaining. Also, you have various markers, 15 noise markers, which are represented by red wooden cubes, and 15 quiet quest markers, which are represented by green wooden cubes respectively. The game comes with a lot of various other elements like body tokens, coin tokens, mission tokens, focus tokens and key tokens. Also, you can see that there are a lot of cards in the game, we have the programming cards, which are at the bottom, and with these cards the ninjas are programming their actions and their movement on the game board. And then you have the decks for the daimyo, which are on the top, as well as the cards that track down the health of the ninjas, which are on the top, and these are flipped to indicate that when the ninjas take some injuries, they have some modified abilities and they have some penalties that they have to suffer in order to get their action played. Last but not least, there are some alert and stun markers. Here we have paper clips, but this is going to be exchanged with something more fancy when the game is produced. We have 15 red, pink paper clips and 5 yellow paper clips. These are used to show if a guard is calm, alert or stunned. There is no paper clip or indicator when the miniature is calm, and when you get alerted you have a red paper clip or whatever, and then you have a respective yellow when you're stunned. We have various other elements in the game, like the Hutsu tokens, which are the 15 wooden tokens you can see on the top of your screen, and these tokens represent special abilities that the ninjas can take only a few times during each mission. The game comes with a lot of things packed in the box, as you can see, a lot of cards, a lot of tiles, a lot of tokens and elements. Also there will be a lot of miniatures, which are already, some of them as standees at this form, are already on the tile maps, and everything packs a nice box. Finally, a word about cards. Each card, as you can see from the ones at the bottom, have a specific symbol in the lower left corner marking which ninja can use this type of card, or if the Daimyo symbol or a perishable symbol card is on there. We have 57 large cards, and ninja actions are used to program all this by using these cards. Some are starting action cards, others are gained through quests or arpeggios and during the missions, and a few large cards are only used to show what other things can be purchased with. In the lower left corner, starting cards are marked with a ninja S indicator, so you can see which cards you start with, and quest reward cards are marked with the initial of the ninja, Q, and the card number. Also we have smaller cards, 14 purchasable cards which we can buy during the mission, and last but not least we have various other small cards like the ones on the top, where you have the Daimyo deck, which is used to program the actions of the guards, move them, rally them, and try to block the opponent's tricks. And finally we have the small Daimyo player deck, which consists of various cards that are used to execute the Daimyo's plans, move guards, rally them, alert them, etc. Also there are some purchasable cards in this as well. A big part of this game is the movement of the ninjas. We have 15 ninja movement cards, which are used for the ninjas to move with a following specific rule set of each card, which indicates where the ninja can start from which bush and where they can end their movement, trying always to accomplish their plans and what the mission dictates. So what is the goal of the game? We choose one player to be the Daimyo, and every other player should be a ninja. If you're playing with fewer than 4 players, you should follow some specific rules that we're going to mention later. The game is played in a series of missions, and each mission is depicted carefully in the mission booklet, and in each mission the ninjas must accomplish a series of objectives before the time track reaches the end. The Daimyo controls the guards and tries to stop the ninjas from succeeding. Both the ninjas and the Daimyo have additional quests, side quests, which gives bonuses if they complete them. Okay, these board tiles look gorgeous, but let's familiarize ourselves with what they are supposed to be. So we can see that there are a lot of empty hexagons where standees of guards are standing and guarding their yard, which is the yard. This is located in various sections around the board. For example, this is a yard, this is a yard, etc. Also we have bushes. The bushes are all colored here orange, so you can depict them and distinguish them very easily. So this ninja is standing on a bush, this is a bush, this is a bush, etc. And last but not least, everything else is a junction. So junctions are neighboring hexes that they are between yards and bushes. For example, yards are light colored empty areas, as we've seen here. You can always distinguish them because they have nothing else, it's just dirt, ground. Guards figures are always placed on yards, and also we're going to come back with the positioning of guards, but you can see that they also have a positioning. So this guard is standing at the end of a hexagon, guarding inwards, so the whole yard, or he can stand outwards, looking outwards, which guards the 2 spots outside the yard, only those, but not further away. We're going to come back with details, which is a very essential part of the game. So the important thing is that guards must be placed in one of the corners of a yard hex, looking either inwards in the yard or outwards towards a junction and a bush, and guards cannot be placed next to each other in 2 adjacent corners of the same hex. Also the figures will not fit. This means that a maximum of 3 figures of guards can be placed in a yard, in every other corner, and also if two guards are placed on an opposite corners of the hex, that means that this yard cannot fit a third guard. Bushes, on the other hand, are relatively safe places where ninjas may hide from guards. Ninjas always end their movement on bushes. Guards are never placed in bushes. Also, we have the junctions, which are colored hexes, but they are called junctions in general, and these connect the remaining hexes. Neither the guards nor the ninjas may stand on them, but you can move through them. Their colors are used for programming movement with the cards that we play. We're going to see later on how this works. So just a couple of things to show you the rules very fast. This is a valid configuration. You can also have this is a valid configuration, and this is the maximum of guards you can have in the yard looking inwards, or for example this card out of the 3 is looking outwards. But when you have 2 guards on the opposite corners, then you cannot fit another third one somewhere, because this is going to break the rule that you cannot have 2 guards in 2 adjacent corners. Last but not least, keep in mind that bushes are these places ninjas move and their turn on bushes. Guards may never be placed on bushes, just guarding to look what's happening over there when the ninjas stealthily move from one place to the other, and all the remaining areas are junctions. Also keep in mind that this tile setup is just randomly put together to show you how the board tiles look, so we're following completely rules of the mission on how to set them up tiles, so you have valid configurations what is next to each other when the tiles are placed together to create the board map for this specific mission. Don't get confused or alerted about the symbology and what is a bush, what is a junction. The rulebook does a completely fantastic work of depicting exactly what is what, and I'm very sure that after a couple of turns everything makes sense and feels natural. You don't have to check the rulebook what is a bush and where I can move from where to where. Okay, so let's dive in the play sequence. The game consists of rounds which are made up of phases. The time track is decreased each round. Each round consists of 2 action phases where players perform actions: a movement phase and a refresh phase. Both actions and movements are performed by means of hidden programming. Ninjas program their plans in advance, then the Daimyo may interfere by issuing orders to the guards and disrupt them, and after that ninjas execute their pre-programmed plans, applying it to all possible changes. This requires both player sides to plan very well ahead, think carefully what they're going to do, and trying with the best interest in mind, trying to prepare for the other side devious plans. So what we have is the first action phase, where ninjas first program their actions, then the Daimyo give orders, and then the ninjas execute the programmed actions. Followed, we have the second action phase, which is exactly the same. Ninjas program again their actions, Daimyo gives orders, ninjas execute their programmed actions. Third, we have the movement phase, where ninjas reclaim their action cards, ninjas then program their movement. We have Pursuit, Daimyo moves any alerted guards, ninjas execute their programmed movement, and then the alerted guards search the bushes. Last, we have an upkeep phase, which is the refresh phase. We decrease the time track by 1, we discard all stand markers, which are valid only for this round. Then ninjas reclaim their movement cards, the Daimyo draws order cards equal to the number of ninjas in play, and activates, which means is simply untapping his prepared order cards. Then he decreases the noise by the number of ninjas in play -1, and if noise is still greater than or equal to the number of ninjas in play, the Daimyo must draw 1 extra order card in exchange for every 2 noise markers, which actually makes him more powerful in the next stage. Then you discard all noise markers, but keep 1 if the number of noise markers has an odd number. So as you can see, it's very simple. We have 2 action phases which are exactly the same, followed by the same steps. Ninjas program, then Daimyo gives orders, and then ninjas execute their actions. And then we have the movement phase. Last, we have just a simple upkeep phase, where the game makes their bookkeeping and we move forward. So how do the cards work for the ninjas? As we said earlier, each card has a symbol in the lower left corner marking which ninja can use the card. Take a closer look at the bottom left of each card and you can see the symbol for this specific card. This whole deck belongs to this single player, this character. Also, you can see that we have some markers for each character. This is a programming map which has 2 rows, so when we secretly choose an action to indicate for each ninja, and the sequence is also important, so what we do is we select a card and we put it there, face down, and then we put our marker on top of the card which is face down to indicate to which ninja it belongs. But keep in mind that this is only for this prototype version. What I hear is they're going to have different back for each deck of each ninja, so it will be very easy to indicate and distinguish which card belongs to which player right away from the color coding of the character and the symbol of the character as well. So again, from left to right, what we have is the deck for Hayato, then Yuki, then Mugen, then Aiko, and then Takuma, with its respective decks and the respective symbols for each deck. So each card has a symbol in the lower left corner marking which ninja it belongs to, if it belongs to each of the specific ninja. From left to right, we have on the top row Hayato with their symbol and their token, Yuki second, Mugen is third, Aiko is fourth, and Takuma is fifth. Also, you can see on the bottom left, on the bottom row, that we have tapped some cards with the symbol which is indicating the purchasable cards, so the ninjas can also get additional cards for the decks. And remember that the Daimyo has a different symbol, so their small cards, the small deck cards, are distinguished from the rest as well. So let's dive into the ninja actions. As we already said many times, each ninja character has a unique set of action cards, and they can use their arsenal to grow during the campaign, meaning they can add more cards in their respective decks. They use their action cards to distract or eliminate guards and accomplish their mission. Each card shows its effect with a row of symbols at the top. You have in front of you several various cards for each respective ninja. So the action programming mat, which is from bamboo, it's very nice. I hope that the final product comes with the same programming mat as well. Has two rows. Each row has 5 slots, so we have the top row and the bottom row. Ninjas program their actions simultaneously. Each ninja chooses an action card from his deck and places it face down on any free slot in the programming mat and puts their character marker on it. Again, this will be respective backings with the color and the symbol of each character in the final product. While programming, ninjas may take back or move their own cards, but not other players' cards. This means that ninjas can freely decide in what order to program their actions, and it's very important and very crucial to the success of the mission as well. Ninjas are allowed and encouraged to discuss their plans in order to act in a coordinated way, so that their move will have the best impact possible for the round. But keep in mind that Daimyo always needs to listen to their plans, so you cannot make symbols or assume things that the Daimyo will not understand. You have to discuss everything openly in front of him or her. They may not speak or show cards without the Daimyo properly hearing or seeing them. However, ninjas are allowed to be as vague as they like. Once the ninjas are done with the programming, they are not allowed to discuss the programmed actions until the end of the phase. So then we have the execution of the action. Remember, we have one first phase where we do the programming and we execute, and then we have a second identical phase that we do again the same, and we put the cards at the bottom. So how we execute the cards? We flip the first action card on the programming mat and execute it. So it is important to see who the company who decided to go first and put their programmed card in the first slot on the top row. All programmed cards have to be executed if possible. Any Yuchu tokens must be spent regardless the success of the card or not. Remember that even though the situation may have changed, ninjas are not allowed to discuss their plan during the execution. And if an action can be executed in multiple ways, the owner of the action card, the player, the ninja who plays the card, that means, has to decide without help from the other players. There are 3 different colors for the cards. We have already some of them in front of you. So as you can see, we have the direct actions, which are red, the stealthy actions, which are blue, and the hidden actions, which are green. Hidden actions will always be executed without any direct risk to the ninja. Note that even though the action cannot backfire, the consequence might, meaning a kill card, for example, can be spotted even if the killer is hidden afterwards. Direct action cards are red. To perform direct actions, ninjas have to leave the bushes and expose themselves to the guards. In case a direct action gets witnessed by a guard, the action fails, and the player has to face consequences for each witnessed based on the situation. For example, you lose health, you can alert guards, etc., etc. Stealthy actions are blue. These actions trick the targets of the action, but not other guards, meaning that you can target to trick a specific guard, but if you're being spotted, then the whole situation is messed. Stealthy action fails if seen by any guard that is not the target. For example, you can have a ninja that they can use like Aiko, the hairpin, to kill a spearman, even if he is facing her. But because of, since she's charming the guard so she can come close and assassinate him, but if she's been spotted by a separate, different guard, then her action fails. If an action fails, you do not execute any of the symbols except spending the prerequisite of the Yuchu tokens, regardless of the success. So all parts of an action are always applied to one of the yards adjacent to the ninja. Long range attacks are an exception to this because they can target adjacent yards. You select a single target yard for executing the action. In case of multiple effects, for example the light attack and the hide the body, all effects has to be applied to the same target. In case of multiple targets, apply all effects to all targets. So when you select the target yard, the ninja has to choose the yard where the most card effects can be executed, even if this means the action fails. For example, if you have Hayato programmed with a red card to perform a light attack, hide the body and trespass symbols, he must attack a guard and hide his body if able. He cannot just hide and the body if there is a guard in the adjacent yard. This may cause the action to fail, of course. There are various cards and various symbols, but they get familiar very soon, so I'm just going to go through some basic explanation to show you all the beautiful things you can perform with the actions. So please bear with me and take a note on the left side symbol to understand what each symbol performs. So you can have a light attack, which kills an unarmored guard, for example spearman, officer. You place a body token in the yard, and then you have the body lying in the yard. It stuns an armored guard, for example a samurai, a Daimyo figure, and then you place a stun marker, a paperclip like we have seen, on top of the guard standee or on the respective miniature. Another symbol is a heavy attack. This action kills any type of guard, even armored guards, and then you place a body token as normal on the yard. Then you have the third, which is the hide the body. Then you discard the body token from the yard. You need to hide bodies to keep the guards from being alerted. And then you have the trespass. You move to any bush adjacent to the target yard. Trespass has to be executed, but ninjas can always return to the bush where they came from. Trespass can be spotted by any guard watching the target yard. Trespass can also be spotted by any guard in the target yard. Then you can have a distract. You move a guard within the target yard to any available position, including rotating it and leaving it in its place. Then you have the lure action, which you choose a target yard adjacent to the bush the luring ninja is hiding in, and where you want to lure the guard to, so you make him go somewhere to take him out of your place and free the space. Take a guard from a yard adjacent to the target yard and move it to any available position in the target yard. The lured guard can face any direction the ninja player wishes to. Then we have the stun. Stun an unarmored guard in the target yard. Armored guards are unaffected. You mark the guard with a stun marker, as we have seen, the yellow paper clip in this prototype, and the guard loses vision for the round. More detail we'll see later on, meaning that the guard cannot perform any actions because he's stunned. Then we have the heal. You restore 1 health point to one of the ninjas in the same bushes as you, or you may also heal yourself very frequently. You have an action only for the spearman. This action only succeeds against spearmen. Other guards may be targeted but are completely unaffected by the result of this action. The action is still executed and it can be witnessed by any other guards and failed as normal. And then you can have multiple targets. For example, for all these symbols that we have seen, you can have a ×2 or ×3, which means that all the effects are applied to multiple targets in the target yard. A very useful action is the long range attack. This action can target any adjacent yard as normal, or it can target any yard on the same board tile as the ninja. Then you have the noise. You increase noise by 1. It can be done only once, even with multiple targets. Then you have the Yuchu. To perform an action, you must use a Yuchu token. This is a prerequisite. You must always use a Yuchu token, regardless if the action succeeded or not. Even if it fails, you have to spend it. And if you cannot, the action has no effect at all and cannot be witnessed as well. You make sure to deactivate the used Yuchu token. Then you have the mission action, which has the symbol that you can see on the bottom left of your screen. This action has a specific effect defined by the mission description itself. This card may count as any other color, green, blue or red, depending on the mission for sure. Then we have the Daimyo orders. Daimyo has a deck of orders that you have in front of you. You can see the back of the Daimyo deck on the left of your screen. His actions consist of moving guards, spawning new guards and alerting guards as well. The Daimyo can add powerful cards to his deck by purchasing more cards the same way like the ninjas can. The daimyo and the action phases are very interesting part because they interfere with the plans of the ninjas. Each round, the daimyo draws a hand of order cards to play. In case the drawing deck runs out, we reshuffle and we make a new pile from the discard pile. The daimyo has to play half of the cards in his hand during the first action phase, and then all remaining will be played during the second action phase. Keep in mind, if there is an odd number of cards, then the daimyo will decide if it's going to be played, more cards will be played on the first or on the second phase. The daimyo can play his order cards in two ways: either execute the action listed on the top card of the card for an immediate effect, this is the blue background, or prepare the action listed on the bottom for later rounds. This means he can be more powerful and more tactical as he goes on. Executed cards go directly to the discard pile, while prepared cards must be put face up next to the board. The reason for this is that the ninjas need to be anticipating the effects in an inactive tapped state, for example rotated by 90 degrees. They are to be untapped and activated during the refresh phase. Any number of already active order cards prepared in earlier rounds can be played in an action phase by the daimyo. You discard these cards as normal, and all effects of daimyo cards must be applied if possible. So, to sum up, you have the cards that are played instantly if you play them for the blue top part of the card, or you prepare them for later rounds with the bottom white background of the card. So let's explain the symbol of the cards. From left to right we can have deploy a new guard. You place indicated guards on any available spot in a barracks. If there are not enough spaces in barracks, any additional guards are not placed. Then you can have the second card, for example, with the arrow. Each arrow represents one guard movement. You may choose to apply several movements to the same guard, and if a card has a flag symbol, like the third one from left to right, you can see that for this case you have a march bonus. When you move, you apply the march bonus effect, and we're going to come back to this later on, meaning that you can also move additional guards. Then you have the fourth card, which has the spread and alarm on the top. You choose a yard with an alerted guard on it, and you alert an additional guard in that yard that is not stunned. The bottom part of the fourth card has exclamations. Has a +1 exclamation, which means an alert. That means you start to alert one guard, so you can alert a guard which is calm, but he's not stunned at all. Then you have the last two cards. The first green card has the daimyo movement. This action only affects the daimyo figure because it has the green background and it's for the daimyo. And this has also a march bonus. And the last green card has, again, this is a daimyo card only. It says its name is Daimyo Duty Calls. This action only affects the daimyo figure, and you move it to the special location regardless of the previous position. So if the special location is filled, you remove a guard and you put the daimyo in its place. So you can see that the daimyo player has a lot of options. That he can also do things right away, but he can also program things so that his next action phase will be more powerful, for example, and this is very important. And all of this, if it's very well combined, it gives a great result. Keep in mind that in general the daimyo needs to have as many guards as possible in an alert status, so that they can pursue and they can kill and they can damage and hurt ninjas during this alert state, because they are anticipating the enemy. So just to sum up, this is how the programming of the action phase for the ninjas would look like. The first top row is for the first phase, and then the second row is for the second phase. Keep in mind that in between, as we said, we have the daimyo give order phase and the ninja execute the program action for its respective phase. So this is the action phase. So then we have the movement phase. In the movement phase, the ninjas try to sneak past the guards towards a goal. They have to find better positions to attack or get away from searching the guards. So they need to stay away from alert guards. Alerted guards search for intruders, making their task harder to accomplish. So the movement programming of the ninjas goes like this. First of all, we have the movement cards. Programming movement means that the ninjas has to decide which adjacent junction he or she wishes to move through, and the junctions are identified according to their color, and the ninja must decide which of the two bushes to go to on the other side of the junction. This may choose either to go left or right through the junction, and this is represented by a left or right arrow respectively on the card. Each ninja has several movement cards, and each card has a color that marks the junction to move through. cards also show the direction the ninjas can move. It can be left, right or any. Ninjas may program 0, 1 or 2 movement cards on the programming mat. For example, we can see here that we have 2 rows again, because we're going to have 2 movements. On each column, each ninja is going to put 2 cards, up to 2 programmed movement cards, or they can put even 0, and then the movement is going to go from top to bottom, left, right, and then moving towards to the right for the next ninjas to move. So each ninja, they're going to perform first the top and then the bottom card, and then the next ninja will go. Here we have the top row with the back of the cards and the bottom row with the cards of the ninjas opened after revealing them. Keep in mind that again there is a symbol on the bottom left card for each specific ninja, same like with the action cards. So each ninja is going to get, he or she is going to get their specific movement deck as well. So movement programming can look something like that. For example, if all of the ninjas have decided to play 2 movement cards, and what's going to happen, we're going to start from the first column on the left, then the blue player is going to take first reveal and take the top movement card, and then the bottom movement card, and then we're going to move to the right with the yellow column and the yellow player. Again, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that for final production after the Kickstarter, because this is a prototype as we mentioned earlier, the back of the cards are going to depict the color of the characters, so it's more easy to identify and no need for tokens would be there. So to sum up for the programming, each ninja programs his movement and places their card face down on the free column in the programming mat and mark it with a respective marker. Their movement route is determined by the programming, but the order of the ninja movements can matter. During programming, ninjas may take back or move their cards, but not the other player's cards. Similar to action programming, ninjas are allowed and encouraged actually to discuss their plans in order to act in a coordinated way, but they may not discuss or signal secretly without the daimyo's knowledge. They may not speak or show cards without the daimyo properly hearing or seeing them. However, ninjas are allowed to be as vague as they like, again, the same like with the action phase. Once the ninjas are done with programming, they are not allowed to discuss the program movement until after all of the cards have been executed. So here, for example, you can see what we mentioned before. Let's say this ninja here has either the option to play this card or this card. She's moving from one bush and she's going to end either on this bush if she plays this card, or this bush if she plays that card. And the reason for this is that this is the matching card. You can see that it shows it always starts from a bush, ends on a bush. The direction is important, but it crosses a yellow junction, as seen here. So the background of the card also helps a lot, because it immediately shows that you have to look for a yellow junction. You have to decide if you go left or right in this case. So what we have is the daimyo can pursue, meaning that the daimyo may move each alerted guard once. These guards may move in the same yard or move to any adjacent yard regardless of any march bonuses. This has to do with the daimyo player. The daimyo player figure cannot move even if he's alert. So executing a ninja movement is very simple. You flip the movement card as we've seen before. On the first column of the programming mat, you play the top card first and then the bottom card second. You proceed with the rest of the order regarding of how you program the movements with the rest of the ninjas, and you execute the movements as programmed, even if it was programmed by mistake. If the first program movement is not valid option, then the ninja does not move at all. If only the second movement card is not a valid option, then only execute the first movement card on the top row. Note that guards watching junctions may witness the ninjas moving through them, and you apply penalties as we're going to see later on. So what happens when ninjas are discovered? So ninjas who end their movement in a bush watched by an alerted guard at the end of their movement phase will be discovered. For each ninja discovered, raise the noise by 1 and decrease the time track by 1, so you lose time. Note that the alerted guards only search the bushes at the end of the movement phase. This means that the ninja moving through a bush watched by an alert guard are not being discovered. Let's see an example to show you what we mean. Here, if there is no guard watching from the yard, if those two guards here are not present, maybe you can see a bit better if I move him a bit low. If those guards here are not present, imagine they're gone, this ninja can either move to this bush if she plays this card, or to that bush. But here, because this guard has his arc pointing inwards, he's watching the yard, so he's alerted for this yard. If you had a guard like that, meaning that this guard is watching a bush and a junction. He could be watching a place like that, this bush and this junction. He's going to witness the movement of the ninja. But I think you understand how the movement goes very easily. After the movement phase, there is the refresh phase, and during this phase the ninjas and the daimyo prepare for the next round following the steps that we mentioned earlier. Now let's have a closer look on the guards. We have various types. First of all, from left to right we have the spearmen, which have no special features. Some actions, for example distractions, can only be used on spearmen as they are less focused than other guards. They cannot leave their yard without a march bonus, so they have to be combined with a march bonus in order to move them tactically. Then, secondly, we have the officers. Officers are responsible for guard patrols. They are harder to distract and also give each guard in the yard, including themselves, a march bonus. So regular move orders enable them to move to an adjacent yard. Stunned officers do not provide the march bonus because obviously then they are stunned. Third, we have the samurai. Samurai are elite armored guards, and samurais ignore all stun effects on ninja actions. An executed normal attack will stun them, and as they lose their special abilities while they are stunned, of course, a second normal attack will kill them. Heavy attack can kill them immediately, but usually it is a two-man job. Take a note that samurais do not provide a march bonus. This means they have to be combined with an officer in order to gain a march bonus in order to be moved to an adjacent yard. Last but not least, we have the Daimyo the Fourth. The Daimyo is only one figure, so in some missions the Daimyo is present on the board as a miniature with a role detailed in the mission itself, in the description, and the Daimyo figure is considered to be a samurai for all attack and stun effect purposes. He must start the game in one of the special yards as defined in the mission description, and the figure can only be affected by Daimyo-specific order cards, not normal order cards. The Daimyo can be alerted, but cannot move during a pursuit, as the normal alert guards do. A word about vision. The base of each guard miniature marks which direction that guard is facing. This is crucial information in the game. Guard-facing ninjas become harder to kill, but they also should watch each other at junctions. So guards always stand on yards. Guards have to stand in one of the corners of the hex as we have seen before, and they may either look inwards towards the yard or outwards towards a junction and bushes. Guards cannot be placed in any other configuration or direction. So guards facing inwards, like the one we have on the top right screen in our example, guard facing inwards only see the yard they are standing in and nothing else. In this example, this top right guard can only have a look in the yard itself because he's facing inwards. They see the threats coming from the bushes in front of them, and they see all other guards in the yard, and when those guards are killed, they also spot them. They do not see inside any bushes, into the surrounding junctions or further to other yards. On the left side of the example, the bottom guard is facing towards a junction and a bush. Guards facing outwards always face towards one bush and one junction. They keep their eyes on the junction to spot moving ninjas, because remember, ninjas pass through junctions to end on a different bush, and they also see any threats coming from the bushes in front of them. They see any ninjas coming from the bushes in front of them, and they also see any ninja coming from the yard to the bushes in front of them. So they do not see inside any bushes or further into any other yards, so they only keep an eye on the specific this specific junction and this specific bush. Here, for example, this guard has an eye on those two spots here. Of course, the direction is very important. Here, this guard is facing outwards, so he doesn't have his eye on the yard itself, but thankfully he is guarded by another guard which he is facing inwards towards the yard. So any threat against this guard will be spotted by the guard on the back. This guard, if he was like that, so he wouldn't be having his eye on the yard because he's facing towards the specific junction and the bush. Keep in mind that a guard will find any dead bodies it sees, so he sees threats and he discovers bodies, and if a guard moves, it will find all bodies in the starting yard and in the yard that he finishes his movement into. Deployed guards also find any bodies on the barracks they are deployed to. If multiple guards are deployed, then the daimyo may choose one to find the bodies. If you are playing the ninja players, of course you do not want guards to spot dead bodies, you need to recover them and hide them, because when they spot bodies, they become alerted. Speaking of alert, let's see the different guard states. If no marker is placed on a guard, that is a normal state, which means calm. If a red-pink paperclip or a red-pink other notification in the new production copy, which will be replacing the paperclips, is on an alert on a guard, he is alerted. So the second guard with the red-pink paperclip, he is alerted. Last but not least, the last guard, the third one in the row, he has a yellow paperclip indicating that he has been stunned, meaning that he cannot perform his duties. The guard states is very important because it affects the different situations in the game. So let's see the threats. Guards can react in case they see any sign of danger. The following triggers a reaction. When a direct action, a red card that is played, these actions fail if seen by any guard. Also, we have failed stealthy actions, the blue cards if you remember. Stealthy actions fail if seen by any guard other than the target. For example, a second guard guarding the yard, and if you have a stealth attack against another guard, the guard behind will spot and the action will fail. Another thing that triggers reaction is finding a body. Also, spotting a ninja moving through a junction. Guards react depending on their alertness state, so if they were calm before, guards are in a calm state by default. They keep their eyes open but don't attack ninjas immediately. In case they witness any of the threats that we mentioned before, this is what happens. If a ninja action caused the threat, it fails. The guard is alerted, so you place an alert marker. Here we have an alert pink paperclip on the guard. So from calm he becomes alert, and then you increase the noise by 1. Finally, you remove all bodies after resolving all reactions. If the guard is already alerted, what happens is that the alerted guards are already expecting intruders and are ready to attack on sight. In case they see a threat, the following happens. If a ninja action caused a threat, it fails, obviously. If the threat has been caused by a current action or movement, inflict damage to the ninja by executing the threatening action or movement. The ninja receives 1 damage for each guard that he is alerted. Increase noise by 1 for each guard, and then you remove all bodies after resolving all these reactions. Last but not least, if the guard was stunned, then the following happens. Guards can get stunned by previous rounds from the ninjas, from their action cards, and stunned guards do not pay any attention on their duties. They are distracted and stunned. They cannot witness any threats, their vision does not matter at all, or where they're facing towards. Neither the Daimyo or ninjas can move stunned guards. The stunned status is lost at the end of the round during the refresh phase. So for the 2 actions, the guards will be stunned, if they are already stunned at the beginning. Alerted guards can get stunned, and then you discard the alerted marker. But stunned guards cannot become alerted. So let's see the movement. Guards are moved by the Daimyo actions. Each arrow represents 1 move of the guard. A guard can be moved multiple times, but this requires multiple arrows. Guard movements is always performed at 1 time. So moving a guard enables the Daimyo player to put that guard to any free spot with any orientation within the same yard but no further. Guards patrols in their own yard unless they are instructed by any officer to move away. And then we have the march bonuses. Officers, barracks and movement cards with a flag give the guard a march bonus, so the guard is able to move 1 yard further to any free spot in the neighboring yards, or to stay in the same yard. He may continue movement if he has a march bonus in the second yard too. Officers always receive this bonus. They are able to step to a neighboring yard whenever they moved, and stunned officers do not get this march bonus, as long as they are stunned. When they lose a stun effect, obviously they regain their march bonus. So let's see the 3 examples we have set up here. This spearman on the bottom can be moved to another yard with the top march bonus move action. Simple move actions only enable him to move within the same yard, but using the march bonus he can move to another yard as well. This spearman here, his movement from the card which is here can be only to move within the same yard, but that would happen if he didn't have an officer. So if here we had an officer, for example, let's put an officer. this guy gains a march bonus because he's in the same yard with an officer, and that means that now he can not only move within the same yard but also to an adjacent yard. Last but not least, this spearman here cannot move to any other yard, but if this tile was a barracks, like this one for example, so if he was sitting on a barracks, you can see the march bonus printed on top, so in this case he would be able also to move to an adjacent yard as well. The same rules apply to alerted guards as to calm guards in their action phases, and in the movement phase each alerted guard may move, and his movement has a march bonus, so they may step away to a neighboring yard. In case the Daimyo player has no alerted guards on the board, this phase is easy for the ninjas, so it's very crucial for the Daimyo player to always have as many as possible alerted guards on the board. The last important element of the game that we need to discuss is ninja health. Each ninja has 1 to 4 health cards. When damaged, we flip the health card starting from the right side, and then when we heal, we always heal the left topmost flipped card. Ninjas do not lose more health if all their health cards are already flipped, but the thing is that they have penalties as they damage and they get more damage. So you start by damaging and flipping this card, so it's becoming black, as you can see, and you have less health, and you can also have all 4 cards damaged. Ninjas cannot die, but if damaged, they face the following penalties. So they can only program 1 movement card in the movement phase. This is one of the examples printed on the cards. They cannot program any red actions, they cannot program any blue actions, and they cannot program any movement cards. So it's very important to regain the health, and this is one of the programming you can also do from the action cards, because when you're hurt, you cannot perform efficiently your ninja duties. So if we're playing with fewer than 4 players, for example if we're playing with only 3 players, then 2 ninja players each control 2 ninja characters, and if we play with only 2 players, the ninja players should control 3 ninja characters. Noise reduction and number of order cards drawn depend on the number of ninja characters and not on the number of players, so keep that in mind depending on how many characters you have. So the game is played through a mission setting. Regarding on the mission setup, you have different rules, additional rules. Missions and character development can be found on the mission booklet. The game comes with 5 different missions that you can play either as a single skirmish or you can link them in a campaign, but all of them offer different challenges and a lot of replayability, also depending on the various elements of the game that you play in this mission. So the story of Shadow Tactics, the board game, is presented in chapters. Each chapter consists of several optional missions and a final mission. The rulebook recommends that when playing for the first time, you do not play a full chapter, but you start with the Osaka Castle, and this is a really nice mission that we already played to get you into the game. And the time track. In each mission, ninjas has to accomplish special goals in the given time frame, so you have to read the mission to determine how much time you have to perform what you have to do as a goal for this mission. The Daimyo player can decrease their time by discovering them. His goal is usually to sabotage the mission by decreasing the time frame as much as possible and preventing ninja actions. The main goal is winning the current mission, but both ninjas and Daimyo have secondary goals as well, which provide them with various benefits. Side quests and loots that can give players personal rewards, and even if they fail the mission, they can gain the rewards. So winning a mission also has similar benefits. So there is no point in getting into the details of each specific mission. You can really check the booklet, the rule book for all this, so you can have the various different configurations depending on the mission. But what is important to understand is that besides the whole rules, all the rules that we explained so far on how you play the game, and hopefully we gave you a good understanding of how the game plays, very nice in my personal opinion. So what you need to do is you need to check the minor details for the specific mission, which are not that many, but it has to do with where you start, what is your objective, how many guards the Daimyo player has, and details like that are not important, but you don't need to memorize, you only need to check them on the specific mission booklet. So this is Shadow Tactics. So hopefully I managed to give you a real good impression of how the game plays. You get a feeling about most of the rules and how the game will flow on your table. So what did I think from the game, from my first impressions, from my first sessions? I'm really impressed about this design, to be honest. I came in thinking that it's something a bit different, so I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that it has a lot to offer back. I really love the action programming phase. It comes in 2 action phases, and then you also have an additional movement programming phase. It's all about trying to maneuver and outthink your opponent. It's very asymmetric, I would say. If you're playing the Daimyo player, you really have to think ahead and try to trap the Shinobis, the ninjas. If you're the ninja, you have to outsmart your Daimyo opponent, let's say DM, because you want to try to stay with as few alerted guards as possible, so you give him no options. It's really well thought. It has a ton of replayability because the game offers already 5 scenarios, but you can think that you can make a lot of yourself from the modular board. I'm sure the website will be flooded with additional scenarios along the way. But even if you play the same mission, you really have a different game each time, because it's all about what you select at this specific time, how you outguess your Daimyo or the Daimyo outguesses you, and how everything interacts and blends together. The action programming is very well done. The elements of the game are exceptional. It looks gorgeous. I really can't wait to have this, to see this replaced, this standees with the minis. The rendering images seem fantastic on the web. It's very well thought. I've been involved in checking the online booklet, the rule booklet from the early stages. I didn't contribute to it, I just checked it when the publisher shared it with me, and I was very impressed about all the love that was given and thrown in this game, so they really seem to know what they're doing. I'm very eager to see what comes next, and I'm really looking forward to see this produced with the final production. So this is already funded on Kickstarter. There are a few days remaining. I really suggest that you go and have a look and see if this is something for you, but also keep an eye, because I'm pretty sure that you get a lot of things back for your value money. I highly recommend this. This is from Antler Games. They already did Saltlands, so this is a next design for them called Shadow Tactics. Looks great, seems to play great. The first impressions are fantastic. So hope you enjoyed and you got a real good feeling from how the game plays, and if it's something that will be interesting for your collection or not. Till next time, thanks for watching.